Tonight we are remembering President George H.W. Bush.
Lips. No new taxes.
Just 2 hours ago, Allied air forces began an attack on military targets in Iraq and Kuwait. I now lift my pen to sign this Americans with Disability Act.
Etched in history, these are just a few of the memorable moments of the 41st president's time in office. Good evening and thanks for joining us at 5:30. I'm Dennis House.
Hi everyone, I'm Erin Connolly. George Herbert Walker Bush died Friday night at the age of 94. Let's take a live look at the Capitol in Washington, where the president's flag-draped casket arrived a short time ago. A ceremony to remember him is happening right now. You see Vice President Mike Pence right there speaking. Speaker of the House Paul Ryan also among those who have spoken. After that, his body will lie in state in the rotunda through Wednesday.
Bush, of course, grew up here in Connecticut. Wednesday will be a national day of mourning, and a memorial service will take place at the National Cathedral. Later on that day, the body of President Bush will then be flown to St. Martin's Episcopal Church in Houston, where a funeral is set for 10 a.m. local time on Thursday in Houston. Meanwhile, the world and Connecticut are recalling fond memories of encounters with President Bush.
Channel 3 New London Bureau Chief Kevin Hogan is live at the mobile newsroom outside the U.S. Coast Guard Academy, which was a frequent stop for Mr. Bush. Kevin.
I frequented that. He was here at least 3 times over the years, first in 1983 as vice president. Then in May of 1989, I was covering him as he gave the commencement address to the graduates of the Coast Guard Academy. And then in the early 1990s, he was here to address a leadership conference.
Would you like to have your picture taken with the president? And I said, well, the president of what?
Prior to President George H.W. Bush's commencement address to the Coast Guard Academy in 1989, Reed Burdick of New London, then a political newcomer to city politics, got a personal invitation to meet number 41 that afternoon in the old State House.
And I don't even remember what we talked about. It was one of those, all I can say, it was a moment for me.
As flags fly at half-staff in honor of our 41st Commander-in-Chief on the campus of the Academy, Reed proudly displays a signed photo of their 9-minute one-on-one meeting.
You know, he's remembered for just being a fine gentleman, a good president, but everybody seems to ice the cake is that he was a fine gentleman.
It's a pleasure to meet you. What an honor, and thank you for your leadership.
In early 2000, Mark Nickerson of East Lyme, who is now the first selectman, brought his camera along to the Coast Guard Academy to hear retired President George H.W. Bush talk at a leadership conference. He fondly recalls his brief brush with the former president.
He's a mentor. You know, it's someone I look up to, for sure. I looked up to and will continue to try to live up to those expectations.
I've seen postings on Facebook and other social media platforms from other people who I know and others who've had close encounters, one-on-one contact with President George Bush, and tonight they remember him fondly, as well as his service to our country. Live with the mobile newsman in New London, Kevin Hogan, Channel 3, Eyewitness News.